Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily Friday morning edition. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Krysan, TK over there at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, getting ready for the big weekend. Today on Sports Shorts Daily, as we're presented by our good friends over at La Berge Casino, where you can bet on all the games over at the sports book, at any of the kiosks, at the Barstool Sportsbook inside La Berge. We're going to talk a little bit about the SEC Media Days as it comes to a wrap. We'll find out later today at SEC Media Days all the predictions about who's going to finish where in the SEC East and West and who's the preseason teams and all that. But also I want to get Tommy's take on kind of the MVP of the SEC Media Days, along with maybe some of the most surprising comments of the week. We'll get into that. Also, some Baton Rouge Rougarou talk. The Baton Rouge Rougarou playing in the Texas Collegiate League. You got about 2 weeks left to come watch the Rougarou play. They are on fire right now, 8-1-1 in their last 10 games at home, playing its best baseball. Just knocked off the Victoria Generals 12-2 last night over at Goolsby Field behind 3 home runs. And it was the first time this year the Baton Rouge Rougarou knocked off Victoria, who's been really one of the best teams in the league. So plenty of opportunity to come see them play tonight on Friday night. We've got fireworks after the game. We got a pro wrestling group coming out, signing autographs, interacting with the players, with the kids. That's at 7:00 tonight at Goolsby Field. Don't worry about the weather. We'll get it in tonight. Also Sunday, Rougarou will go on the road. And of course, that to Lafayette, that game will be on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, as well as tonight's game will be on the radio on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. And Monday night, we'll be back Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for a 3-game series, and then we'll have 2 more games after that the following week. So we want you to come on out to Pete Goolsby Field. For all information, go to brrougarou.com. But we are on fire right now. The team's playing great, so you need to come out and check it out before the playoffs. So we'll get into that. Also, the trade deadline is approaching in Major League Baseball. There's some talk there. Tommy's got some take on one of the biggest possible trades of the year, and the NCAA baseball. Is it the baseball committee, Tommy?
Rules committee.
The what now?
The rules committee has made some recommendations.
Yeah, the NCAA baseball rules committee has made some very interesting recommendations that could really affect the game in a big way. Of course, got to get voted on by the presidents and everybody else, but we'll get into what those possibly could be. But let's first talk a little SEC Media Days. Jimbo Fisher was on the podium yesterday, Tommy. He was asked about the whole Nick Saban thing. He squashed it, saying, hey, we're both competitors, and didn't really go down that rabbit hole. But what did Jimbo say that was interesting to you?
Well, he made a lot of comments. He was talking 100 miles an hour, and everybody picked up on that. He was the last coach, the 14th coach to speak. And he talked about, he wants the rules to be the same for everybody. Because you got different rules in different states. We called it the Wild Wild West, months last year. That's what everybody's calling it now. They stole that from us. Really, Sports Shorts Daily's got to get credit for saying it's the Wild Wild West with no sheriff. We said that last year. But Jimbo Fisher just talked about the rules need to be the same for everybody. He doesn't care what the rules are. Just make them and get everybody to follow the same thing. And, of course, he deadpanned the Saban stuff. That'll be interesting when they play. It'll all come back up. And then he talked about his player that got arrested, and he said, I got to get more info. I got no comment. And he just really, touched on a variety of topics, talking 100 miles an hour. And he was waiting, everybody was ready to get out of there. He's the 14th coach you had to listen to, plus the commissioner. So, Jimbo is Jimbo. And, 8-4, that's their new thing now. Like Texas, it's horns down. With A&M, it's 8-4. That's what they're going to be like every year. And they've never been. They're one of the teams that's never been to the SEC championship game in Atlanta. They've never been. They hadn't won a national title since 1939. So Jimbo's got all the big money. He's not the highest paid anymore. Kirby Smart is. That came out this week. A little over $11 million a year for Kirby, and maybe he can get a new haircut with that. But anyway, Jimbo was Jimbo.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Chance. Jumbo was talking so fast yesterday. I think he sold me a timeshare. You must be talking about when I was on Hunt and Hill, maybe. on one
No,
of the
he was out of control with how fast he was talking. It was definitely an issue. I mean, it was above and beyond. No question.
No, he's talking about yeah, yeah. He said jumbo, but I'm thinking he's meaning Jimbo, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
he means Jimbo. Yeah, you've never talked that fast in your life, and you never.
but he always does. You know, it must be a thing. Like I watched a documentary on. I watched the documentary on Georgia winning the national championship, which is well done, right? They're always great on SEC Network. The Year of the Dog, and and Kirby Smart, who, oh, by the way, just got an, 11-year, 10-year, 120. I mean, just making 11 million a year for the next 10 years or something crazy. But congratulations, get it while you can. He talks like that, and I guess it's because they got so much. I just wonder. And I guess because they only have them for so much time. In college, it's different than the pros. And the pros, you have them all day. You can do kind of whatever you want other than just the contact thing. And in college, they have to be a student athlete. They have somewhat of limited time availability with the actual whole coaching staff, according to the NCAA, although the rules are oogie, they do. So Kirby was talking super, super fast. It must be a thing. But by the way, the contract that Kirby Smart just signed, Tommy, that is the reason why that the athletes in the NCAA, in my opinion, is going to be so reluctant to change these rules. And I guess let's just get right to the NCAA thing, and we'll come back because it ties in with what the point I want to make. If you've got coaches that are getting not rich but wealthy now, I mean, now you're generational wealth when you start getting $100 million, right? That affects your grandkids. But when you've got that kind of money, and that's what's on the line for these coaches, then it's Katie bar the door as far as the rules are concerned, because the fallback is always, well, if coaches can come and go, and the coaches can get generational wealth off of the backs of quote unquote sort of free labor. One, NIL is never going to change. It's that's here to stay. But two, the transfer portal, which to me, and I've said this for over a year, is the biggest issue facing the NCAA moving forward with the athlete, is the transfer portal, not the NIL, the transfer portal, because players can literally come and go as they please. And the fallback is always, well, coaches can come and go as they please. And as we see coaches sign these giant mega deals and make all this money, to me, it's going to force the NCAA to raise its hands and say, we are not regulating our players in the least because we're watching administrators get super rich.
I agree. Jimbo Fisher made the point. There's always been the haves and the have-nots in college football. Okay, we can go back to decades, and you had programs that had more things than other programs had, and the root of it was money. And now it's Lane Kiffin said that. Hey, the guys with the most money are going to end up being the ones that sustain winning records and win championships and play for championships. No different, Ryan, if me, you, and a bunch of guys sit down and play poker, and you got $10,000 in your pocket. We all got $2,000. You're going to end up winning. You might be down a little bit, but you're going to ultimately the money rules, and that's what is really. It's always been in college football. Now it's front and center all over social media. Nobody's hiding anything anymore. Texas Tech, let that sink in. They're giving every football player $25,000. Okay, all 85 scholarship guys, and I think the first 15 walk-ons are getting $25,000 from a collective at Texas Tech. When's the last time they won anything? They had some good years under Leach a few years back, and they've had a few other moments, but that's not a premier program, with all due respect, and every kid. And then here's a whole other thing other people are talking about, right? These kids there, they get 25 grand. Nick Saban says the other day his players made over $3 million if you added them all together in NIL. The tax implications. I mean, these kids got to pay tax on this money. If you get paid 25 grand to play at Texas Tech, you got to report that. Or Bryce Young at Alabama got over $1 million to be the quarterback. Olivia Dunn, the gymnastic girl at LSU, $2 million. I mean, there's a lot of layers here. It's become big. It's always been big business and money. Now everybody sees it.
The one thing that I'll say also about this about it. The NCAA Rules Committee for Baseball has suggested that they do a 60-day window from the end of May to the end of July, where that is the transfer portal for athletes. That is where the athletes can go ahead and enter that transfer portal. But they've also recommended, Tommy, which to me is crazy, that yes, that's the 60-day window. So you have 10 months out of the year you can't get in the portal. And then you have 2 months where you can't get in the portal, and everybody pick and choose their players. But then after that, you can come and go as you please. So in theory, you could play at a different college every year, just completely wide open transfers. And I mean, and that's just absolutely insane. That's just absolutely insane. What kind of button there?
Well, and, two sides of it. One, they're kind of doing something for the student athlete, which usually the student athlete gets last consideration. Over decades, that was kind of the case in the NCAA before they would let them get paid and earn money. But now I think they're really sticking it to the coaches and the coaching staffs and the athletic departments who, there's athletic departments out there that don't have the money that other athletic departments do. So I'm going back to Lane Kiffin. College baseball, the team that can give players the most money is going to get the players, and more times than not, they're going to win. Not all the time. The New York Yankees don't win. They haven't won a World Series in 15 years, 17 years, something like that. The Dodgers have a big payroll, but the Braves won the World Series last year. So, but the guys with the money are going to be in the hunt all the time. Not going to be the Oakland A's or the Missouri baseball team in the SEC who knows that they'll ever be in the hunt at the SEC because they're so far behind everybody else.
2009, last time the Yankees won the World Series. I always remember that because the LSU won the World Series that same year. Look, go to Stephen Miller's last comment where he starts with unlimited transfer portal, because this is not this unlimited transfer portal is setting these kids up for a lifetime of failure, because life in the real world, when you leave a job because you don't like the boss, another job isn't necessarily waiting there all the time. That's a life lesson thing. I don't think the NCAA, unfortunately, is big on life lessons. But the thing that I'll say about that is it's just super difficult. And look, from a Baton Rouge Rougarou standpoint, let me bring it local to me personally into Baton Rouge, into college baseball. If you set the 60-day transfer portal, Tommy, from June and July, it is going to crush summer college baseball, because no coach is going to want to let his good players go play in the summertime when the portal is completely wide open. As it stands right now, the portal closes at the end of June. So July, at least July 1, if and this came from Jay Johnson and other people's mouths, I'll send out players to go play that I'm a little concerned about if they're going to stay or go after July 1, once that portal closes. If the whole summer the portal is open, you're going to have a lot of college coaches that are going to try to convince their players to not go play summer college baseball, even though that's in the best interest of the kids, to play more games, to get the experience, to get the reps, to get the seen by scouts, all that sort of thing. They are going to be discouraged to go play, maybe even told not to by college coaches, because quite frankly, they're going to be concerned about being poached.
Well, and the other thing, you're going to have a college coach who's got a player who he really thinks is about to shine. He's really progressing. He might say, I don't go play. I don't want nobody to see you because I think you're going to be really good. But, Ronnie, here's the other thing. Everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to be in the starting lineup, okay? But there's 35 guys on a college baseball team, and there's only 10 in the starting lineup. That's it, counting the pitcher and the DH. So, I mean, the 25 guys want to go somewhere else so they can get on the field. Jay Johnson addressed that last month. Everybody wants to play. Nobody likes to sit the bench. And that could be a spin-off of travel ball, which doesn't teach kids to sit the bench, because they put 10 or 11 on the team, because mom and dad are paying all that money. They don't want the kid to not play. So, and Tony Robichaux, the late, great Robe, used to talk a lot about that. He and I talked 1 hour one day about how travel ball has its good things, but he points out that it doesn't teach the kid to sit on the bench. It doesn't teach, coach doesn't have the ability when a kid doesn't hustle the first to put him on the bench like you can do when you got a roster of 35. So, man, it's craziness, but what are you going to do? This is another thing Jimbo Fisher said. All this craziness, you better embrace it, or everybody else is going to pass you by. But you've got to have some rules that everybody has to follow, whatever they may be.
What's bizarre to me is that when you talk to coaches, whether it be whatever the sport, they pretty much agree and think like we do as fans, that this is out of control and it's crazy and they need to rein it in. But for whatever reason, the NCAA suggests this is what's best for the college athlete, and therefore the presidents go, well, if they say that's what's best, then who am I? And it's like nobody wants to be the adult in the room and make a decision and say, hey, this may not be the popular opinion of an 18 to 21-year-old, but as the grown-ups in the room and the ones that are in charge of kind of guarding the kingdom of college athletics, this is terrible. And Byron Painter points out, he says, so tired of the comparison of players to coaches. Look, there's always been hierarchy in all businesses. How is it different than the CEO of a large company? Everyone can't be paid the same. Keep college athletics as a place for kids to learn and develop for a career as a professional and productive adult. I'll say to this, there is a hierarchy right now. It's called NIL. The quarterback, again, on this documentary that on Georgia, they showed on the documentary, Tommy, last year at the beginning of the season at Georgia. Remember, Daniels was going to be the starting quarterback all year, and he ended up getting a little hurt, and then that's when we saw Bennett come in. Well, Daniels signed this mega NIL deal, and he even stood up at Kirby even addressed it at practice before the start of the season, where he said, hey, he signed this big NIL deal. He wants to give some of the money back to his teammates and all that kind of stuff. The point is there is a hierarchy. The star athletes are going to get paid more than the other guys, and et cetera. Okay. So that's going to take care of itself with the NIL, the hierarchy of learning that everybody's not the same. But the NCAA has to step in and say, hey, we are going to lose fans. We are going to ruin this system even worse than it already is if we just don't guard the gate and just let everybody run around free and willy and do whatever they want. It's terrible.
Well, see, here's the thing. Right? Every action causes consequences, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. But then also the key is unintended consequences, which would be if in 2 years you got 25,000 people in these 100,000 seat stadiums trying to watch a college football game. Okay, that would be an unintended consequence. That's not good, obviously. So, Major League Baseball went to making smaller stadiums. There were stadiums were small. They started making big ones. They went back to small. Now, I'm not saying Tiger Stadium in Tennessee are going to change the size of their stadium, but they're going to have to really put the thinking cap on and figure out a way to get people to come to campus, come to a game, and to hang around.
I want to go back to the SEC Media Days for a minute and just get your quick reaction. Most surprising comment of the week for you was what?
It was the blunt, accurate comment by Lane Kiffin when he said, hey, they've just made cheating. Cheating has always been there. They just made it legal and let everybody see it. That's a bold statement because, again, college athletes have gotten money for decades, okay, whatever it may be. Or they got the car or the summer job that they never showed up on. We know the stories. But now they just said, hey, go ahead and do it. We don't care. That was I like that comment. That was a surprising comment, sad but true comment by Lane Kiffin.
Also, who was the MVP as far as coaches go at the SEC Media Days, in your opinion?
I think if you take a look at the big picture, you know a little bit about everybody that was there. Mike Leach. They had all these long intros. Leach's intro was 7 words. He said, good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing all right. Any questions? He didn't say anything else. And then he talked about the alignment. He was funny as heck. I've always been a fan of Mike Leach.
Yeah, you love Mike Leach.
Yeah, well, I had dinner with him when he came to see Hal and Hammond back in the day, and they started the air raid offense. And we drank a little whiskey that night, had a couple of steaks, and I had a lot of fun with Mike Leach.
He's your kind of guy. Y'all both love Floribama too. All right. So today, when the voting comes out for the rankings in the West and the East and all that, it's not going to be any surprise. It's going to be Alabama in the West and Georgia in the East. But the big issue is who does people think is going to finish second and third, right? On both sides. If you were to pick, who do you think is going to be the second place team in the West, the second place team in the East?
second place team in the East is going to be Kentucky, I think. Second in the West. Oh, that's a tough one. It's going to be tough. It's going to be Ole Miss, A&M, maybe LSU. I think it's going to be fourth. They're not going to be like third's the highest they're going to be. I think they're going to be fourth, and they may even be fifth. LSU. So but again, I used to do this. I used to save all the preseason predictions and then pull them out in December. And more times than not, they've been wrong. But we'll see.
I think A&M is going to be second in the West. This is a big year for A&M, in the sense that they have the ability with the schedule, with their athletes, the question I think is going to be who's going to play quarterback. And Jimbo's known as the quarterback guy, right? He's hasn't really been since he got to A&M, but he was known throughout his career as the quarterback guy, mainly for what he did with Jamarcus, what he did over at Florida State. If he can tap into that and make a difference, I think Max Johnson has the ability to be a dude. People are, we're overly critical on Max Johnson for a guy who literally played 2 years. We think about LSU. Look at the Matt Flynn's and the Matt Mauks and the Joe Burrows. These guys were in their 5th year in college before they were dudes, right? Max Johnson is literally entering year 3 this year, and he's played more football than all those guys did in their first 3 years combined. And so I think there's value in that. And obviously he comes from an NFL quarterback son. He's over there with his brother now at A&M, which gives you a little kumbaya-ness. He's got a fresh start, and he's got a true quarterback coach guy who is his head coach. I think Max Johnson's poised to make a move and make a jump. Clearly, he's got big kahunas. He's shown the ability to win in the swamp and to beat, put up the big year against Ole Miss his freshman year. And then last year when LSU's down and out, bring them back against A&M. I mean, there's some really good stuff in there with Max Johnson. I think he just needs the right system, program, fit, and this could be it for him.
Losing the top wide receiver who's now been suspended indefinitely. So I'm sure they're going to figure out a way to get him back on the field. But I agree with you. There's a lot of upside with Max Johnson. And I like your point about, Burrow and Mauk and Flynn. I mean, these guys have been around a long time before they shined. Johnson's got more experience than them, as you said, put together. So A&M's going to be picked second and probably Ole Miss third, LSU fourth, and then Arkansas. A lot of people like Sam Pittman and what he's doing at Arkansas.
I like Sam Pittman. I don't know that Arkansas.
He was good at media day. He was good at media day, and they got it going on at Arkansas. We'll see. I want to answer Rachel's question. Billy Napier, the former.
She said, "How did Billy Napier do?" Yeah,
he's middle of the road. Like you said to me earlier, Ronnie. That's not his thing to go up in front of the media and all that. Now he may get better over time. It's not that he didn't do bad, but he just was kind of vanilla. Kind of plain
milk toast. Yeah.
He's got other things that he brings to the table that'll help the Florida Gators aside from media day appearances,
including one of the biggest staffs in college football. I'm a Billy Napier fan. My brother obviously knows him well. My brother is involved with the Raging Cajun Athletic Foundation and all that over there, and a big supporter of UL. And obviously what he did in Lafayette over the last 4 or 5 years was fantastic. I wish him nothing but the best of luck in Florida, except when they play LSU. Chance says A&M is going to implode with character issues. They are recruiting stars and not character fit. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know that LSU necessarily was not recruiting the same players they were. So you can judge that all you want.
Ronnie, I sat in the suite with Bill Poley, the special team director, coach at LSU, and one thing he told me, and it wasn't no secret because other people could hear, he said we had to get a lot of knuckleheads out of the locker room when you talk about when they got to LSU. Because those were on basically let everybody do what they want. So
yeah,
there were a lot. His word was there were a lot of knuckleheads in the locker room, which is another word for saying guys we don't want around. And they had to clean that up. And now this was, halfway through the baseball season. They've had plenty of time to address it.
By the way, Chance Pittman Chance Babin says Pittman versus Jimbo, rate of pace talking. That's like the tortoise versus the hare.
No, Jimbo wins.
The Jimbo wins, but also doesn't mean that the tortoise won't eventually win in the end. But he did on the podium. All right, we'll be back on Monday morning for more talk on everything in the world of sports. Obviously, tonight, the Baton Rouge Rougarou in action at 7 o'clock. Don't let this rain get you down. It'll be fine this afternoon. We'll be back at it at 7. And then if you can listen to the game on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge tonight and Sunday night. Also, come on out tonight, fireworks after the game. TK, tell us real quick about the lunch special at Tremonti's.
Fried catfish, topped with crawfish etouffee. They just restocked all the whiskey, all the bourbon, all the wine. Plenty of selections for your weekend. And, of course, we're putting together the tailgating and home gating packages for football season. They can do the on-site catering. You got an office party, 8 people, 28 people. They can bring it to you. Really good stuff. They had a bunch of big orders went out of here yesterday when I was here. Connect on Facebook and Instagram, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, the Chairman's Reserve Meats, the Wagyu steaks, seafood, boiled crabs, you name it. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge, right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School. We hope you can check them out very soon. Don't forget Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We'll be on location at the LaBears Casino. We'll have all that good stuff for you. Don't forget to like and share this video. That really helps us with all of our partners and sponsors. And appreciate all the people interacting with the comments. And it'll help us if you like the video and share it. Let's get some more people. Football season's coming. We can have big things this fall.
All right, Tommy. We'll check us out tomorrow morning, Sports Shorts Radio, 10 to noon. We'll be over at LaBears Casino. Until then, have a great one, everybody.